Hi there everybody, it's UK Stampin' Up independent demonstrator Helzie here from SlimmandStylish.stampinup.net. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I'm going to be playing with the Photopolymer Colour and Contour stamp set today. I love this one and I love the fact that there is two-step stamping involved in it where you can use the flower and then stamp the middle in. I haven't done that today, I've actually watercoloured them. And I have done it in sort of an ombre effect. So I'm going to show you how to put this slimline card together. So first of all, you're going to need a card base. I do my slimline cards by grabbing a piece of A4 paper, cutting it in half, scoring it in half, so it's scored at 7.4 centimetres. So I'm just going to fold and burnish that. There we go. You're then going to want a piece of shimmery white cardstock, which is my favourite for doing light watercolouring. This is 6.9 centimetres by 20.5 centimetres. So it just sits on top of the card like that. Okay. You're also going to want a piece of scrap, either basic white or shimmery white. I've got shimmery white, so it's the exact same colour as my base. Okay, and you're just going to need that for the label. And off we go. I have already got the stamp ready on my Stamper Artist, and I'm going to talk you through how I got the 3 stamps on here at the same height and width. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to pop your cardstock into your Stamper Artist, line up where you want it, so I had it there, pop your magnets on, and you want to pop the stamp at the middle hinge. Okay, so you can see there it's about in the middle of the stamp, and the stamp must be in the middle of the paper. Okay, so it's the second hinge up. You've got this line here in your grid paper, the one that goes through Stampin' Up. That is the middle of your stamp. Use the Stays On ink, and you want to ink it up. A little twist of your wrist when using Stays On works really well. And then just give it a good push down. Okay, if you can see that the paper is going to rise with the with the stamp, you can always use your bone folder to try and keep the paper in place. I sometimes find the shimmery white cardstock is great, but because it's a little bit more silkier than our basic white, it does stick sometimes to the photopolymer stamp sets when you're using Stays On. So you now want to move your hinge up so that you have these 2 in, and you can see it's going roughly in the same place as what it did down the bottom here when you haven't got your bracelet stuck in it. Okay, pop your ink back on and get ready to stamp. Now, because it's not as stable in the end, you want to just keep your fingers on the hinge to make sure it stays in and it stays straight. Okay, ink that up. Oh dear. Let's try again. I'm not sure if that's me not inking the stamp up properly or me not pushing down enough. It's me not pushing down enough. Let me go again. What I'm going to do, because the paper did move slightly, is I'm just going to whiz this over. And try again. Ink it up. Well, hold it in place, push it down and really push on that. Okay, There we are, much better stamp. So I'm now going to run up the end here and do it again on this end. Really make sure it's inked up well and push it down. It's a good job you've got two sides of paper, isn't it, really? Okay, and I just said about it sticking and moving. So just ink that up, really push it down. And there we go. Now to get the middle one, this is a bit of a complication, because if you move it up one, you'll notice that you're going to be stamping onto the flower you've already done. If you move it up two, you're not going to be stamping on this flower, but you're not going to leave enough room here. And if you move it up three, you've got the exact same problem where you're nearer this flower than this one. So what you really need is for this to come in the middle there. So what you want to do is you want to move this up, and you want to move it so it just hits this line that the centimeters have. Okay, so just there. I've played around with it a bit recently to find which bit's in the middle, and that is definitely the bit that hits the middle. Then you can put that in, and there you go, you hit the middle. So ink this up, don't mess this one up in the middle. Okay, and time to go, and really push down on that so you get another crisp one. It'd be terrible if you got to the middle and messed that one up, wouldn't it? And there we go. There's your 3 flowers done. You could have, of course, stamped them, and it might have been quicker, means it's only 3, but they wouldn't have been at the same distance. You know, you might struggle to get them all in a line. So the way I'm going to do this and do this ombre effect that I've got here is I'm going to use 3 colours: Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather and Fresh Freesia. I'm just going to grab 3 blocks so I can ink them up and use these for my watercolour base. So I'm going to start with the first one. I've just done it this way because I'm right-handed and I can work this way and then turn it the right way around. So I'm just going to grab the Fresh Freesia, pop a little bit of water onto the block and go. I'm just going to colour in each of these petals. You'll notice I'm not being majorly neat and tidy with this because it's going to be watercolour, and watercolour doesn't always have to stay in the lines. Sometimes I think it looks more effective when it's outside of them. Okay, once you've put your light bit on, what you can do then is bring your pen just to the edge of the block where the main water isn't, and you can grab a slightly darker colour to then draw through the bottom. To just create sort of some dimension on the flower to make it look like it's a lot darker going to lighter. Okay, once you've done that, just wipe the nib of your watercolour marker in your chamois, get rid of your block and move on to the next colour. So Highland Heather now. Bit of water on there. Mix it up and off you go. And you'll notice that this now is a slightly deeper colour to the other one. Again, round the edges will just get you that darker colour so that you can just create sort of a 3D effect by having the middle looking darker than the outsides. Keep spreading it around. Okay, if you want it any darker, you can go back through and keep building the colour up. One of the things with watercolour is it does generally look a slightly different tone once you've finished with it. So once it's dried, it will dry a slightly different colour. You can always go straight back into it and add more and build it back up again. That's no problem. Gorgeous grape now, the darkest of the colours. Again, a bit of water in there and off we go. So this one now is really getting into a deeper purple. And this is what's going to make all the flowers look different as they go along. Okay. Once you've finished with that, you're going to want to have a yellow centre. I've used Mango Melody. And I've done exactly the same. Small block, squish it in, pop some water in, and just take that and add it to the centre of the flowers. And you'll notice it's spreading outwards because it's mixed in with the water from the others. You can stop that with a towel or you can just mingle it in. I think it looks nice when it spreads into the different colours, but it's up to you. If you didn't want that to happen, you can wait for it to dry or use a heat tool to dry it off before it goes. But I quite like it like that, and I'm just going to leave it to dry on the side. So while that's drying, let me just wipe the nib of my aqua marker. I always try and do that straight after I finish watercolouring, because otherwise the longer the colour stays in there, the more the nib stains, the harder it is to get the ink out. Pop all my lids back on. And put them all away. And you want to bring out Rich Razzleberry. Okay, sorry, not Rich Razzleberry, Blackberry Bliss. I knew where I was going. So if you actually look at the colours going along, Blackberry Bliss was the deepest one. Rich Razzleberry is that one. So you could use either or. I use Blackberry Bliss though. So I'm just going to put these three away and leave this one on my table. I used this one for the splatters, which is from this stamp here. And I also used it for my sentiment. So I'm just going to do my sentiment now while my card's drying. So I've used this Here For You Now sentiment. And I've got my strip that I told you about earlier. So I'm just going to ink up the sentiment and get that stamped. Oh, that was almost off the page. Let me just try and move my head over it a bit. Here For You Now. Still not perfectly in the middle, but unfortunately the camera is where my head should be to get it for, you know, totally in the middle. So there we go. Just flag the end of the sentiment. And then you want to sort of chop about there. Okay, so there's the sentiment ready to go. And I've got my splodges there, ready for the card. Now, if you're still waiting for it to dry, you can run over it with your heat tool, which I'm going to do just because I'm on a video and I want to get this dry so I can go. Okay. And what I did with the splodges is I put two splodges either side of the flowers. Okay, so there was one on one side, one on the other. Like that. And then with the light at the top and the dark at the bottom, I stuck it to my card base. Okay, to finish the card up, I'm using this lovely grosgrain ribbon, but look how sparkly this is. This is gorgeous. And I am going to stick this around the center part of my card, just over here. I'm just going to cut it so it's completely straight, because it will sit across the card like that. And because this is a bit of a scratchy ribbon with the glitter running through it, it is really easy to apply your adhesive along it so that it sits in the right place. Okay. And then you can grab the ribbon, tie a little bow. So I've just noticed that's going over the edge there, so I'm just going to snip that off. There we go. Grab the ribbon and tie a little bow. Okay, and then you can just stick that onto your card as well. Finally, for the sentiment, you just want to grab some dimensionals. Couldn't remember then which one was the best way. And pop that just underneath the bow there. So that you have your sentiment on your card. To finish up, I'm going to be using our opal rounds, which are just here. And I'm just going to pop those up and down the card just for a bit of glitz and just to give it a bit of dimension. Hopefully you've liked this card, and also hopefully it's given you an idea of how you can use the flowers without the two-step stamping. I know it's lovely to have the two-step stamping, but look, you can create that cool effect all by yourself. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. Everything I've used is available to purchase from SlimmandStylish.stampinup.net, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye. I hope you've enjoyed today's project. All items that I have used on this video are available to purchase from my store, www.SlimmandStylish.stampinup.net. Alternatively, if you would like a copy of our catalogues, please send me an email to slimandstylish@live.co.uk or leave me a comment below and I'll get in touch with you. I upload regular content to this channel, so if you do enjoy watching my tutorials, please make sure that you have subscribed and rang the bell to get notifications when new videos go live. Thank you for joining me and have a lovely day.